seconds of this 11th round.
Yeah, it was good. I'm proud.
I don't feel that I've done this justice. The savvy, the technical brilliance of Terrence Crawford. He made Canelo Alvarez do something we haven't seen in a very long time. And seeing is believing. And I think the more we saw Canelo run through these fighters or even carry these fighters or push them to 12 rounds but dominate the fights, I think the more we thought that Canelo Alvarez was unstoppable or untouchable just based on what we were able to see him with the fighters that we seen him in there with. But there were fighters that gave him fits. There were fighters that frustrated him. There were just far few in between. This is a far few in between situation. Terrence Crawford, and I think it needs more recognition. The jab, the switch hitting, the angles of which Canelo couldn't dictate the counter. You know what I mean? And even when he was trying to set up his own counters, he wasn't slick enough for Terrence Crawford. Now, the saving grace in the fight, he was able to land some good shots, but even the good shots weren't really enough to deter Terrence Crawford, because that's what everybody that's what everybody thought. Everybody felt that, sure, Terrence will do good until he gets hit. But then what? Then what'll happen? He'll get hit, and then he'll start to retreat, and he'll start to backpedal, then he'll start to move a lot or run, like you guys call it, and then Canelo will then take over. And I think besides the skill, we need to understand that it was more than that. It was the heart, the desire, the passion, and the durability. And maybe all those things that I mentioned pushed those to the forefront, made those possible, okay? The passion, the spirit, the skill, all of that. Terrence Crawford was able to take Canelo's shots with ease. And it made me think back to the Errol Spence fight. The Errol Spence fight, I seen Errol Spence land overhand left and caught Crawford, but in return, Crawford countered with an uppercut. And it put Errol down. So he traded with Errol Spence, and Errol Spence could not penetrate, or damage, should I say, Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? And it looked like the same thing could happen now, or the same thing that could have happened in this fight with Canelo, because Canelo was trying to land those big shots, and he was landing big shots, but they were only one at a time. And then the one punch that he threw at a time was becoming predictable. And that's one of the things when you're world level and you're skillful and you're elite like Canelo is, but then you're still getting beat. That's something that has to be recognized. Like we saw in this clip. I mean, Canelo's like, dude, what the hell? You know what I mean? And here's another thing. Canelo didn't have to be who he was, but he showed who he is. Meaning, he could have used, I'm slowing down. He could have used, I'm not that particular person no more. I had an off night. My timing was off. This happened, that happened. He could have used all those excuses, but he didn't use any. You know what I mean? So big up to Canelo as well for just taking the ass whooping and the defeat like a man. You know what I mean? So I do think that this particular fight that happened, I know we're still, because this is, it's past a week now. It's been 8 days since it's happened. But, Terrence Crawford deserves the recognition. So let's give it to him. You guys tell me what you think about Terrence Crawford and his defeat over Canelo Alvarez. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.